Hi everyone, and welcome to another Sketchbook Sunday episode. Today I am using my very first sketchbook that I used to paint watercolors in. I stopped using this sketchbook a couple of months ago because I upgraded and got a sketchbook that was a little bit better at holding watercolors and multiple layers. But I was almost done this one, so I really didn't want to I didn't want it to go to waste, so I thought one day, why don't I try using my old acrylic paint and see what happens. If you watch my videos, you know that I'm kind of obsessed with moving into remoteness, and so on one of my many hours of thinking about living in the woods, I started thinking about how it would be nice to paint all day, and then somehow that morphed into me thinking about acrylic paint, and then I thought, hey, let's try painting with acrylic. So here we are, and my old sketchbook is perfect for this because the paper itself is really sturdy, which is good for acrylic paint, and you know, I can use up the remaining pages so that I can finally do a sketchbook tour at the end of the year. So my first impression of acrylic paints, by the way, it's not the first time I've ever painted with acrylic paints. I painted with acrylic paints before, but after painting primarily with watercolors for a year now, the main difference I noticed was that it's a lot more difficult to spread acrylic paint. Like, it feels like the pigment just runs out in one brush stroke, and then I have to go back and get more paint, whereas with watercolors it just spreads endlessly. So I thought because of this I would have more control over the brush and over the colors, but I don't know, it's stiffer too, so it definitely is a little bit more difficult to paint with acrylic paint. That being said, I love the opacity of the colors. I only have to do one layer to achieve the color and the desired gradient that I want, so that is kind of a big upside to acrylic paint. And I only discovered gouache probably a few months ago was the first time I heard of it. I didn't know that that was a medium that existed, but I heard that it's basically it's a thicker version of watercolor, or a more pigmented version of watercolor paints, and I haven't tried it myself, but after using acrylic paint and experiencing the intense opacity and pigment, I really want to try gouache because it sounds like it's going to be a lot more spreadable than compared to acrylic paint. But anyways, here I am just working on an autumn scene. By the way, I know that I've never released an acrylic painting video on this channel. Although no, I did have one. It was the very first video that I uploaded to this channel of an old painting. I painted a portrait in acrylic paint, but I believe that's the only fully acrylic painting that I uploaded to this channel. And I know that this channel is primarily watercolor based, but let me know in the description if you would like me to release some videos with acrylic paint, some tutorials for acrylic paint. I'm still very much a beginner in acrylic paint myself, and I have really poor quality acrylic paints. Like, honestly, they're from the dollar store, some of them, so it doesn't take a really talented person to be able to paint with acrylic paint. So let me know if these are tutorials that you'd like to see in the future. I always thought that, when I started painting with, for example, watercolor, I started painting in 2015. I painted for about a year and a half, from 2015 to 2016, and I used a $6 set from Walmart, and I thought that this was as good as watercolor gets. And so for almost 2 years I painted using that set, that really cheap set, and I became quite good at it. I'm not to, you know, pat myself on the shoulder or anything, but I think I mastered the extent to which you can take dollar store quality paints. And then when I started painting, when I picked watercolor back up in last year, I bought myself a slightly more expensive set. I think it was a $25 set of watercolor paints. And again, they weren't the wet ones in the tube. They were just in half pans. And those are the ones that I've been using for all my watercolor videos. And oh my goodness, the difference in quality is incredible. I cannot even, wow. And then I bought better quality brushes, and oh my gosh, that just took my painting to the next level. But all I'm trying to say here is that you shouldn't use your low quality supplies as an excuse for your paintings being subpar. I think you should practice with low quality supplies, because that will teach you the techniques that you need to know to finally, when you get a professional set, you know, it'll be worth your money because you'll have all your skills in place. Anyways, that's about it for my Sketchbook Sunday today. I really hope you enjoyed this novel acrylic, my exploration of the acrylic world here. Please let me know if this is something that you enjoy and you'd like to see in the future, or if you don't like it, please let me know that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in next week's video.